for the first time in the long and illustrious history of That's Not the Finish, 4 people shall be on panel in this conversation.
So welcome to our year-end special, guys. We're going to be going through the answers that you put down, as well as our own personal opinions for several different categories that we had for our year-end show. So our first category of the night is the event of the year. So we'll kick stuff off here with Dom. So what was your own opinion here?
2018, there was quite a few new events, quite a few different events. It was definitely a good year for wrestling in terms of what we had offered. I mean, we had All In, which was fucking awesome. That was a huge event. I mean, we had Evolution, which was the first women's pay-per-view. But I mean, it didn't live up to what it was, but it was still a huge deal for this year. Slammiversary this year was incredible, but I think the best event this year for me was Wrestle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just honestly insane from start to finish, and like it just kept you hooked the whole entire time.
Got you on the hook. All right, Moses, what do you think? Who did you have?
Dom, like really hit the nail on the head with all the events that we've had this year, aside from WWE. And I'm going to have to go with, only because NJPW and ROH didn't do this super card in time for this recording, but I'm going to have to say All In. I mean, the hype was there. The card was great. It made you want more, but it left you, it's pretty much like I would say it's kind of like a John Williams score. It left you satisfied, but it gave you a craving for more. I remember watching it on Twitch because, I'm too poor to actually pay it on IPTV. And I was like, oh my God, like this is what I've been wanting for in a wrestling pay-per-view in such a long time. And I get to watch wrestling every single month, but this filled that craving. And yeah, like Dom said, with Evolution, it was hyped up, but it wasn't exactly. It didn't really live up to the expectations. Wrestle Kingdom is Wrestle Kingdom, so that's why I kind of rule it out, because you kind of Slammiversary was great. TNA has been doing a tremendous of being doing these matches and these shows and having pay-per-views, and some of these pay-per-views aren't even like something you pay for. You get to watch it as like an Impact episode. But with me, All In, it's in my heart because it was like the first time something was booked. Not first time something was like this was booked, but just the booking of it, the hype, everything just felt new, and it was literally the title of All In. Like they went all in, and pun intended. They went all in. Yeah, they went all in on everything, and they took a gamble. They took a massive gamble, and they were successful.
Dave, what event did you have?
Okay, for me, there were a lot of good wrestling events this year. As you said before in the past, Slammiversary was really good, surprisingly good for TNA, or should I say Impact Wrestling. I loved All In. All In was really good. Dominion for New Japan was a good event to watch. But if there's one event is that kind of speaks to me a little more, I love Wrestle Kingdom 12. I'm not disparaging that event, but I love the NXT TakeOver New Orleans.
Nice.
I love that ladder match.
NXT right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that ladder match they had, the 6-man ladder match with Ricochet and Adam Cole all debuting. We had the Gargano Ciampa match that was unsanctioned. And then you had that heel turn from Mr. Roddy Strong against the Undisputed Era and AOP and At the time, it was Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne, who were tag teams, but Strong had turned on Pete Dunne during the match. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was pretty epic, actually.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I have to agree with all of you. Obviously, we had really awesome pay-per-views this whole year. I honestly have to say Evolution was really just history-making. First all-women's pay-per-view, and I mean, it was, pretty good as well. Unfortunately, it was just how the promotion went for it just really kind of toned it down a bit. I would actually have to say that I also really liked Takeover War Games. I thought that War Games was freaking insane as well, too, especially with the War Games match. But I would have to say that the event of 2018 for me was Dominion, actually, with New Japan. And the reason why was because we had a really insane match with, the main event here with Kenny Omega versus Okada, where he dethroned Okada as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Then but prior to that, we also had another really great lineup, though. Not just that one match that made it, the event of the year for me, but it was also with Chris Jericho taking on Naito and also winning the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And we also just saw a whole new Chris Jericho then. Also, just seeing Ospreay there, even though he did lose his match against Takahashi, but, we got to see the debut of Ospreay. But we also did get to see the Young Bucks taking on Dead Japan. I hate saying their freaking long ass names, like Los Ingobernables de Japan, Sonata and Evil. Fuck it. It's Sonata and Evil. And then I think was this actually Rey Mysterio Jr.'s last match in New Japan, because he was in the tag team match against the Bullet Club.
I want to say it was. They actually hinted, I think, even at one point, they hinted at Ospreay Mysterio match at one point, but it never happened. So I want to say,
know in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely never know in the future here. So we're gonna take in the public's responses here, and some of the responses I had from for event of the year were pretty interesting here. So we had All In, a bunch of All Ins. One person actually said that All In and Dominion had a tie. Dominion again. I think that we had about 3 Dominions. One person that put down Dominion and Evolution here. Great Voyage in Yokohama, which was a Noah event, which is interesting. We have a Noah fan. But it looks like Dominion actually took in first place here with All In a second. Definitely, I think that it would have been a close matchup, and if we had more participants, it would have been a close matchup with All In and Dominion, definitely. Okay, so how about the feud of the year? Which Dom, what was your feud of the year here?
This was tough, but I mean, there was quite a few good feuds this year. I think the Miz Daniel Bryan revisiting their feud was a good one this year. LAX and OVE had a great feud going on for quite a while.
Yep.
And also part of OVE, Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards, their feud was just insane.
Ooh.
God, that was good.
Going at each other the entire, almost half the year. Like, they hated each other, and it was great. But, I mean, I don't think we're going to have a feud that's going to top Gargano and Ciampa.
Yep.
Those two and just despised each other. And we've had how many rematches already throughout the year from this one feud, and it's, I would say it's still going to go on. Like, they're not done, in my opinion. I think these guys are going to be going on until, like, neither one can do it anymore.
They're not done yet.
And I don't
Fight
think that's
forever.
going to happen. So they will fight forever, yes. But that I think that's going to be one of the top feuds for a long time.
Moses.
All right, I was just waiting because in the
I guess we'll do like this little rotation. It'll be Dom, Moses, Dave, then me.
I like that idea.
Simple.
We've had a few interesting feuds. Everything in my heart, I wanted to say, Sasuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. I want to say Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. I want to say Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. I wanted to say, and I'm just basing it off of WWE because, I've been paying. Unfortunately, I haven't paid enough attention in the Indies as I should.
Bad boy.
But I would have to say Chomp.
Champa.
I was gonna say Chompy. Definitely Ciampa versus Gargano, just because like I'm not really one to watch NXT too much, but the fact that they had me on the edge of my seat, I like that just shows how much of a feud and how much they put into the storytelling aspect of their matches. You know, for someone like me to not watch them and not really understand, you know, because like when I saw Ciampa betray Gargano, I was one of the few people that were like, okay, you know, we've seen this before, but they had made me want. Ciampa has done such a good job of being such a heel that I wanted him. And this is coming from a guy that, like, you know, Dom and I always talk about, like, you know, heels and faces, and, you know, I'll tell him, you know, if a heel does a good job, he makes you hate him. You know, and this is coming from a person with that type of understanding where I say, okay, this guy's a heel and he's doing a good job and he's making people want to hate him. You know, this is this guy. And Ciampa did such a great job that it removed me from that thought process. And I wanted Gargano to, like, just beat the living daylights out of him. And, you know, when they had their, you know, they had their sanction match, I felt so good that Gargano won. But then when the title, I think the title was on the line, I was like, are you serious? He didn't win. And it took me back into that element when I was a kid. And, you know, I was that guy that, oh boy, the Undertaker's really a dead man. You know, it took me back to that element as a kid.
Cool.
And, you know, I would say that would be my feud.
It was just believable. It just made you, like, really just get sucked into the storyline.
It's still real to me.
It's still real to you, boy. It's still real to you. All right, Dave, you up?
All right, so I had two choices here. I was going back and forth on it, but I think, in my opinion, Gargano Ciampa was the feud of the year. In my opinion. Yeah,
Ciampa.
I just think Gargano's character is just he's the ultimate babyface, and you have Ciampa, who is just like the baddest heel right now in the company. And the fact that Ciampa had to, you know, even when he attacked Gargano, had to sit on the sidelines because I think he had tore his ACL up to that point. And then just imagine him sitting there and just having to wait, bide his time to come back and fight this guy. And when he came back, that guy was a heat magnet, let me tell you.
Oh, he was hot. He was so
hot. He was hot.
Yeah. So definitely, I would have to go with, for my feud of the year, I think it was probably Becky versus Ronda for that feud, which really didn't get resolved, if you think about it. Like, it really hasn't ended. But it's just that because, like, it was, like, in the women's division, it was perhaps, like, one of the most intense like rivalries that I've seen so far, because you have the UFC, you know, you have Ronda coming from the UFC, and then you have Becky Lynch, who is basically just kind of like born into like this real badass character here. And on top of that, you have this, you know, this woman who proclaims to be called the baddest woman on the planet, and Becky's just basically, no, you're stepping in my territory now, and she's just trying to, you know, and now it's like these two really strong, you know, faces of the women's division are just like going at it right now to try to see like who is truly, you know, who is like truly like the face of the women's division, which, you know, possibly might get settled at WrestleMania next year. So for me, it was Becky versus Ronda as the feud of the year. So some of the other responses that we had, so we had Ciampa and Gargano. We had Gargano and Ciampa again. Gargano and Ciampa. Gargano and Ciampa. Gargano and Ciampa. Holy. Okay, so obviously they just fucking won. But we had Kazuchika Okada versus Sanada, sorry, and we had Okada versus Omega. So obviously it was Gargano versus Ciampa that won. Alrighty. So 2018 Rising Star. So
yeah. This was a bit of a tough category to vote in because, I mean, in all honesty, there hasn't been like too many new breakout people in this year. Like, yeah, there's been some some names that have been around for a while and then finally got their big break, and that's I mean, I guess you kind of have to include that this year now because there wasn't so many new people. But I mean, there was people like Tessa Blanchard. To me, was a huge name to make someone made a huge name of themselves this year. Sami Callihan made a huge name for himself this year. He just he's someone that took he took something that should have been it would have really impacted your career negatively, and he spun it off and made it into his own personal agenda and pushed off of it, and he really rose off of that. Velveteen Dream broke out this year pretty hard. He was starting to get over last year, and I think he really sealed the deal this year. And we're gonna see some huge things from him next year. But to me, I think the biggest rising star was Elias. Elias.
Yeah.
Elias is a man that started from nothing in the beginning of this year. No one cared about him. His segments, no one really gave a shit about. He was just kind of there, and then slowly he would people started getting into it for some reason. And I don't really even know what the major breaking point was, where they're hey, this is good, let's work with this. But they started cheering along with him. They started repeating his phrases. They really started getting into him, and the crowd just really got behind him out of nowhere. And then he also knows really how to get some great heat too. He got the biggest boo of the year for making a comment about his.
I know. He broke some records for that one.
But I mean, I think he really he came from nothing this year and really made it to one of the biggest names around.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna say that my breakout, they did. It's actually not one person; it's a tag team. But these guys, they really, really impressed me. I think they're gonna have a great future in the industry. They're definitely up and comers. They're hungry. They know the industry in and out, and they're grateful. They already show that they can be a great ring general. And I don't know if you guys watched the Crown Jewel, but these guys were phenomenal against the Undertaker and Kane. I'm gonna go with D Generation X.
Okay, yeah. So D Generation X breakout wrestlers of 2018.
No. In all seriousness, I just wanted to say that because I've been itching to troll a little bit. But in all seriousness, I would have to say Velveteen Dream. He was somebody I didn't even know about. He was kind of annoying when I first saw him. And then, seeing how watching his matches, I was getting, intrigued, slowly but surely. And then his match with Tommaso Ciampa, it's becoming a reoccurring thing. But his match with Tommaso Ciampa really showed me wow, this guy is he's come such a long way from he's essentially the male version of Alexa Bliss. He was a project and he did a hell of a job. This guy is just showing that he's gonna kill it in the industry, whether he sticks with WWE or he goes into the indies. He's gonna kill it.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so my rising star of the year, I had a few honorable mentions if I could just go through them.
Sure.
Elias was one. This guy's his reputation, his stardom, his whole gimmick is just it works. And even when he was a heel and now he's a face, it still works. Another guy I could say is Hangman Page. In the Bullet Club. Yeah. He's pretty good. Sami Callihan's another one that I was tempted to choose. And this guy is just in your face. He's real. He's violent. He's all these things right now. But for me, if I had to go with one that rose pretty quickly, I mean, in the Indies and also NXT, is our North American champion, Ricochet.
Mm-hmm.
I think this guy has a lot of upside. He's going to be a future NXT champion, no doubt about it. His matches with Adam Cole was pretty insane. Velveteen Dream, really good match he had this year with him as well. And his performance in the War Games was just unbelievable. I don't know if you guys saw that whole thing he did, but
Yeah, I did. I did.
that was
That was actually a personal favorite from somebody.
unbelievable.
It's
So
ridiculous.
yeah,
So my my Rising Star of 2018. Similarly, his style is very similarly to Ricochet's, and that's Will Ospreay. So like I kind of got into Ospreay later on in the year. I didn't really know who he was until like they actually like announced his match with Pac. But then like I kind of like watched some of his matches and I was like, oh wait a second, I do know this guy. He does like some really crazy shit. So then like, I knew that he like went up against Ricochet. He went up against Walter. He fought against like quite a few other people like, in the Indies. And then when I saw his match against Ibushi and some of the tag team matches in New Japan, I just like when this was like recent at the Tag Team Worlds and also like on the road to Tokyo Dome, I was just impressed so much by him. So my favorite match, which probably isn't his best by any means, but I just really like the guy that he went against and he just beat the crap out of was Taichi. And Taichi, like he's a heel in New Japan. He's does it like really well, and like his gimmick is like I don't like Dave. Do you know Taichi, right?
Taichi.
The guy that comes out with the freaking mask and he's always like singing, and he has that girl with him.
No, I don't know him.
Okay,
I think it's somebody else.
Okay, so this guy that
Sorry.
Okay, so this guy he comes out with sometimes he's like with this with his like little girlfriend or whatever she is manager and when she and he has like this like almost like a Phantom of like the Opera mask on. He comes out with like a microphone and he's like kind of like doing like that really like conceited type of gimmick. So Ospreay went up against him, but he went up against him with like busted ribs, and Taichi was taking advantage of that and just like plowing him into the barrier, hitting him with the microphone in the ribs, causing like a lot of damage, and then Ospreay was able like to pull it off, and he was like doing like like all these different flips and stuff, and you could tell though like in his face that he was in a lot of freaking pain though from doing all that, but he managed to pull off the victory, and that's what I kind of like. I like those type of storylines where it looks like the like the underdogs getting like beat getting the crap kicked out of them, but then like they just pull off a really really amazing victory. And then he went up against Taichi and his team in a tag team matches in the road to Tokyo Dome, where he actually wound up pinning him again. And that's so like that's why I have to say that it was just really like whenever I see him, like I just like get like goosebumps. I'm just like ooh, like oh he's coming, ooh, so I really love watching Ospreay. Like he's really fun to watch. So our listener, I hope that there are listeners. So these are the best breakout wrestlers that were voted upon. So actually, believe it or not, there is no winner here. Because everybody voted for different people. So we have Becky Lynch, we have Killer Cross, we have Hangman Page, we have Jay White. I know who did that one. Kaito Kiyomiya he actually had to wrote this down. This was from Pro Wrestling Noah. We have like a pure Pro Wrestling Noah fan that follows us. Jeff Cobb. He also has a comment here easily. Here's one that so I was super close to putting this one down. I was super close. Mustafa Ali.
Ooh.
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
I was just about to put him down, but I had to go with Ospreay.
I can't believe I didn't even think of that.
Mustafa Ali. I was about to put him down though. And then the last one here, Buddy Murphy.
Yeah.
Buddy Murphy.
Yeah,
All right.
It's another one.
that's another good one.
So let's try to. I don't know if you guys want to try to take on two at once, but we could do both top heel and top face. So Dom, hit it.
This is an interesting category. Face, I don't know. I mean, no one really like broke out as a big face this year. I think. I mean, you had Johnny Impact did a great job throughout the year as a top face. AJ Styles was a huge top face the entire year. Gargano was another one that was everyone stuck behind all the time. But I think I'm gonna have to give it to the New Day because the New Day just consistently stays over as a top face with the fans, and they always know how to keep the fans behind them, and they know how to how to get their energy going, and they know how to work the crowd. But I think the New Day is kind of the top pick for that. Top heels, I think Elias is going to be a good choice for that. I mean, he really knows how to piss people off. He's got the biggest boo of the year. I mean, granted, it was a cheap heat, but still. You have
What? Hello?
Oh,
Dom.
did we lose him?
Dom.
Did we?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh man, I guess Vince McMahon heard him.
Right.
He's probably still there, like talking, and has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I'm messaging him now. All right, Moses, take it away.
All right, so honestly, this is like this is gonna be so generic, only because like there wasn't really anyone that I could get behind this year as in terms of a face. But I'm gonna go with for the second time in a row, Velveteen Dream. Just because I didn't know if he was a heel or a face. And he just made me a huge fan when he had his match against Tommaso Ciampa, which later on may be mentioned. But I'm gonna go with Velveteen Dream.
Okay. You still on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, there
Okay.
he
There
is.
he
Sorry.
is. There he is.
I don't know what happened. I got disconnected there. I'm sorry.
All right,
Where-
Moses
where did I
already
get
went.
cut off?
So
Cease and desist.
Moses
Did
went.
anything I said get picked up?
You should have. You know what it was? Dom. This is the payback Dom gets for all those too sweets that he did with people when he has a shirt. So WWE cease and desist his mic.
Did anything I say get picked up at all, or am I gonna have to go?
forget
again?
honestly where you got cut off. I think you were about to say who your top heel and face was.
Well,
Okay.
I think you said something about Elias.
Oh, yeah,
and
something
then
about
things just
Elias.
started going. Yeah.
Elias
Yeah.
was good. Did you? I said my pick for top face this year was New Day, which I mean they've been consistent
Right.
the
Yeah, we
entire
did hear
year. You got that, okay?
Yeah.
And I said that my sleeper pick for heel of the year was Daniel Bryan because he's only been heel for a short amount of time, but he's really like made such a transition
But
from.
is he
top heel.
really a heel?
He is a heel, though.
I mean, he's telling you to be eco-friendly.
and
and to
people don't
take
like
care
him.
of
Such a
your
good
environment.
man. I mean, come on.
Like,
Yeah,
how
but,
is
you know,
that?
Saying that you should
that's
kick
like-
every man in the groin, like literally just every
It's
girl
like-
should kick a man in
Exactly,
the groin.
he did. He's,
Like,
he's
it's like-
doing heel things. He's doing heel stuff still. He kicked. He attacked AJ Styles in the balls.
Well, Shinsuke did it, and everyone liked it.
Shinsuke was a great heel for that too. I'll add
Yeah.
him to my list. Thank you.
No problem. But I'm honestly, I'm not gonna consider Daniel Bryan a heel because he's telling you it's like he's essentially like he's like what Hulk Hogan would have been during the Attitude Era. Like that's literally what he is. He's giving you a positive message, but
But it's not positive.
it's positive. He's telling you not to. He tried to fight Mustafa Ali because Mustafa Ali has a Cadillac.
Yeah, that's not positive though. I mean,
It's not, but it's not fuel efficient.
let the man drive his fucking car, okay? Who's
Well, you know what? He has to think about the economy. All right, think about the environment. Climate change is an issue.
All right, anyway.
That's true. That's true.
But hello. Okay, now my real top pick then, if you're not gonna accept that, is Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan just again, like I said earlier, he injured someone like on accident. And that's a big no-no, but he just fucking like made everyone hate him even more. And he just like worked off of it and made like he took as much heat as he can get and just spinning
Yeah.
off of it.
You know, what's the
And,
funny
like-
thing? Oh no, continue. I just wanted
No.
to.
Go ahead.
It's funny how you mentioned that with Sami Callihan, how he kind of took the ball and ran with it. And
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, Seth Rollins broke John Cena's nose, and like he tried to use that as heat,
He
but
tried, but he couldn't pull it off.
exactly.
And that's why it's made the props to Sami Callihan for actually, especially with what he did too. Like he really made a huge
Yeah.
mistake with his baseball bat incident. And then
Yeah,
Yep.
he was he promoted himself. He got himself over. He really made himself one of the biggest names like on the independent scene. Like look how many places are booking him. How many people want to work with him now? Like, and he gets everyone to hate him.
that's true.
Uh,
Well, since
you're
we're-
top heel now.
All right, so since we're doing top heels, I'm gonna go with Daniel Bryan because he's a really great heel. You know.
Wow. I had a feeling you were gonna do that the entire time.
Mm,
you know,
That's like no, yeah, it's kind of debatable, but honestly, you know, like this honestly goes without. Like, you know what? No, because that's just way too easy. I was gonna say Tommaso Ciampa, but
yeah.
I'm gonna have to say, you know, and this is I don't know if it's intentional or not, but well, it definitely wasn't intentional. But I'm gonna go with Charlotte Flair.
Mm.
I'm just gonna go with her. You know, like I know it wasn't intentional of her to become a heel, but just the fact that like she got so much heat, and you know, it was just funny because like WWE really tried to make her feel like, well, try to make us think that she was like the underdog and make us feel bad for her, but you know, she's the son of she's the daughter of Ric
She's the son
Flair.
of Ricochet.
Whoa.
She's the daughter of Ric Flair. She's the daughter of Ric Flair, and you know, she's on pace. I think she's had like 9 championships already. So how do I feel bad? It's like, do I feel bad for the Chicago Cubs of losing the World Series to the New York Yankees in a clean sweep? Yeah. Do I feel bad for the Yankees losing to the Chicago Cubs in the Chicago Cubs in a clean sweep? No, because the New York. Well, first of all, I'm a Mets fan, and I would kill myself before I became a Yankees fan. Because no offense to your dad Dom, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna tell him this when I see him. But you know, unlike Yankee fans, us Met fans, we have class.
I agree.
Two, you know, the Yankees have won 27 World Series. The Chicago Cubs, I think they got like 3, and 2 of them were like not even in this century. So I'm gonna feel bad for the underdog. I'm not gonna feel bad for the person that's had everything not handed to her, but had all these accolades already. And you know, the fact that WWE really, WWE is what WWE is. They'll drop the ball regardless. You know, I think they should have kept it going with Charlotte just being Charlotte and Becky being like Becky. And I think, like, you know, when she was trying to be face, that was probably the best heel work she'll ever do.
Interesting. All right, Dave, you up?
All right. Top face. Couple names. Let's see. So I thought of who's the top face in wrestling right now. So AJ Styles is one name. Johnny Gargano, who at the time before his whole demeanor changed, it was a pretty big babyface in NXT and in the whole company itself. Tanahashi's another one, only because he's the face of Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, I mean, everybody loves Tanahashi. Jay Leto's another one, Ring of Honor World Champion. But
Right.
I have to go with I think this guy, he's stayed in his lane. He's had great matches. And he's the one guy that I mean, who hasn't turned heel this year, honestly.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yeah, that man would be Seth Rollins.
Mm.
Yeah, Seth Rollins. I think this guy is just he's stayed in his lane. He's wrestled his matches. He's done everything a face is supposed to do, and he stayed true to it. So
Yeah.
my pick is Seth Rollins. Yeah.
I because I'm thinking of Seth Rollins because me and Dom would watch these pay-per-view events at his. It's funny because when Seth was heel, he had like this maniacal laugh, like an evil person in a cartoon, like. So I'm just
like Waluigi up in here.
Wow,
it's like, you foiled my plans, Dean.
Oh yeah.
Good.
All right, you gotta add in your heel too.
Top heel. Okay. So my top heel would be. I'm going with Sami Callihan, honestly. I mean, Ciampa's done some good work, but I think just the beginning of the 2018 year, I think Callahan's just had it going for me. His whole persona, that whole camera thing he does with OVE and Dave and Jay Christ. I just love it, and the whole accidental bad thing he did with Eddie Edwards, that whole blood feud was just great TV. If anyone's seen it or not, but he's just been consistent, and the guy's good. He's going places, hopefully.
Interesting. All right, so I'm gonna cut right to it. Top face of 2018 for me. I have to just go with AJ Styles for this, especially with a lot of the storylines that they put him in. For example, with Samoa Joe, I think they really did paint him out to be a face that runs the place, in a sense, as he calls himself. I think with Styles, he really was put into a whole different light by being with somebody like Joe, and then now with Daniel Bryan.
Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy. Just trying to make it seem like, that he is like, the good guy in this, especially with Joe, because Joe can really take stuff to the next level. And that kind of just goes into the next category for me with heel of 2018. And if you think I put down Samoa Joe, he was actually my second choice here. So I just had to go with him because he's just like a favorite heel for me. It was Jericho in New Japan. I like his new persona. I just like whenever he does something, it's just always random and just different. So what he did when he went up against Evil in I think this was during the not the Road to Tokyo. It was before the tag leagues. I think it was back in November when he actually went up against Evil, and he actually took the New Japan flag, the logo that was on a I don't know, I think it was just like a banner, and he just like blew his nose in it and then just threw it away. I was just like, okay, yeah, fuck, this guy is like really trying to get people to to hate him. And he, walks around just kind of like, oh, I came to Japan to fuck shit up, and people are, like, oh, you don't respect our promotion. That's kind of the guy who he is right now. So I have to go with Chris Jericho for 2018, for the 2018 heel. So top face of 2018 voted on by our loyal listeners. So guess what? Nobody fucking won. Oh wait. Oh no, actually no. We did actually have. Okay, no, actually I lied. It's just because people were typing his name. Some people. Oh no, wait. Maybe it is two different people here. Tana. Oh no, wait. No. It's because people typed in his name wrong. So we have Tanahashi, and then we have.
What, they put Tamaguchi?
No. They typed in Tanahashi, just his name, and then they typed in It wasn't Tamaguchi. Nobody did that. It was and then somebody put it in his first name here. It was Hiroshi Tanahashi, and then somebody else put in here blah blah. Somebody else put in Tanahashi,
what?
The ace. No, they didn't actually put it. But they put in Tanahashi, the ace is the face of the universe. Okay, cool. Sure, do your thing. So Tanahashi pretty much won this year. Just people were putting in differently. We have
Yeah.
Takahashi, which I
Ooh.
always I confuse it because it's like, oh, Takahashi, Tanahashi, one
Mhm.
letter
Yeah,
difference.
tomato.
Yeah, too many Hashis. Then we got Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is the face. So okay,
As a face?
as the face.
Okay.
Maybe this was a mistake.
I
That's
mean-
ironic.
Ironic.
Maybe it's
Kind of.
broken.
I don't know.
You gotta put her in both categories.
Wait,
The
hold on a
voting
second.
is
Becky
broken.
Lynch was voted on twice.
Because
so,
Becky Lynch's face.
so actually, two
Yeah.
people put down Becky Lynch is the face of 2018.
Yeah.
And then our loyal Noah fan put down Kaito Kiyomiya, and we have Seth Rollins as the top face. Now top heel, Ciampa. Ciampa was voted on as the best. Second was Jay White. And then,
wow.
yeah, that was pretty much it. I was the only one that put down Jericho. The other ones were Jay White and Ciampa. So, moving on, let's do another double whammy here. We'll do female superstar and male superstar of the year.
All right.
Oh boy, Dom. Okay, kick this off. Because I know
Are we
Moses has
skipping
something to
over
do.
tag team, or are you just gonna get back to that later on? Because
Uh,
you skipped that category entirely.
I did. Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
alrighty.
In the words of
then we'll
EC3. Yeah, dummy. Yeah.
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 Then we'll do.
Shut up, dummy. I'm not talking to you.
All right, let's do tag team then.
Okay.
top
We'll
tag
make
team.
it quick since it seems to be trying to rush things along. I mean, 2018 didn't really resonate as a tag team year to me. I mean, you had New Day; they were killing it the entire year. They had quite a few great matches with the Usos. Ziggler and McIntyre really came out of nowhere as I guess you can even call it a breakout because neither one of them were doing anything, and then you put them two together,
Yeah.
and then they really worked out. I'm not a huge fan of the Young Bucks, but I mean I have to include them. Honestly, they're one of the biggest names, the biggest tag teams around. OV I thought had a huge year. This one, Moses is going to surprise you for my pick, but I picked LAX as my tag team of the year.
Oh,
LAX has
Hasta
been,
la muerte y después.
LAX has really been killing it the entire year. They held on to the titles for the majority of the year. They all the feuds they had were all great. They really made everything work out for them this year, and I think they really shined.
All right. Well,
Moses?
my decision, like you said, this year hasn't been really, and the New Day is always killing. The Usos,
Mhm.
they usually, whenever they're with the New Day, they kill it. I'm gonna have to go with Bailey and Sasha Banks.
okay. All right.
No, I'm kidding. No. Realistically, I'm gonna have to go with the guys that are like the blue pill because they stay hard. LAX,
LAX.
because I really have no. I mean, Dom pretty much nailed it with the explaining why. Because all their matches have been great, especially with the OGs. That was such a great feud. Just watching that. I mean, they had some stupid moments with that kid that got killed, and
Oh,
it's just
God.
really, come on, really?
No, he didn't get
Nah.
killed. He survived.
Oh, right, he's
Thank God.
he's yeah. But I'm gonna go with LAX.
Yeah.
LAX. All right. Tag team of the year. I went with Undisputed Era NXT. These guys, yeah, they shocked the system all right this year. Their feud with Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, Mustache Mountain, as you know them, was absolutely tremendous. At one point, they had the belts, dropped the belts at, I think it was a UK tournament they had in England, and then they won back the belts 2 days later at an NXT taping, which was considered a 5-star match by, some, I don't want to say his name, but that guy, if you guys know who it is. But yeah. No.
Well, it's his uncle.
Rhymes with Crave Seltzer. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy that does the awards that no one cares about? Unlike our awards that everyone cares about, that has prestige?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, these guys,
Maybe Deltzer.
Yes, Mabe Deltzer, yes.
Tuna Meltzer.
Yes, but these guys they have so much great chemistry. Roddy Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, and thank God Bobby Fish is back. They could kind of fold him back into the yes, Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly parts. But yeah, that is my tag team of the year. I'll leave it at that.
So I know how much Dom hates them, but I just have to go with the Young Bucks. I just like their gimmick. I just like how they
too sweet.
Yeah, I just kind of like their chemistry too in the ring. I was also just really impressed with the their performance in the ladder match too at final battle, and I also just kind of like whenever I watch them on New Japan when they were tag teaming with Kenny Omega, I really just love it. Like when they do the that standing like pile driver move that they do, like where like the you know, like one of them like flips over and like basically just like the other guy holds the guy and like they just like, you know, drive the guy down. Just any like sort of like kick that they do is just like really, you know, pretty innovative, like how they come up with just like different ways how to use the freaking super kick, even though it's like, you know, kind of overused with them. But I just find it that whenever they're in the ring, it's just fun to watch. They're just really fun to watch. So for me, it was the Young Bucks that was the tag team of the year. So let's see what we were voted for. So God got it twice. So Show and Yo, Roppongi 3K. That was actually interesting. I do like them too. Undisputed Era and Young Bucks. Young Bucks actually won this one. Undisputed Era came in second from our loyal listeners. And God was second. So
nice.
Going on to the category that I rushed before. Superstar of the year, male and female. Dom, take it away.
Yeah. I mean, the females really all like they made a huge impact this year. I mean, this was their time. It was their year, so there was quite a few choices for this one. I think Alexa Bliss like really started off strong in the beginning of the year. Didn't really finish off so hot, but I think for the first half of the year, she was really doing great. Charlotte Flair was of course at the top. Unfortunately, I mean you can't deny what she's done throughout the year. Tessa Blanchard was another huge name that I mean obviously is not a household name, but she's really done a lot this year in terms of her career. Ronda Rousey also was she really proved herself. We weren't sure what she was going to do when she came in, but she held up. But I think Becky Lynch is going to get female superstar of the year for me. I mean, she was supposed to be going over as a heel, and just the fans ate it up, and she just really took the man gimmick all. Like, she really made it into something special. And I just hope they keep moving forward with this and keep pushing her in the right direction. For the men, you had a lot of big names also. Seth Rollins made a huge name for himself this year. Kenny Omega was also great. AJ Styles, another huge year for him. But I think for me, I'm going to have to go Cody Rhodes for Superstar of the Year 2018. I mean, he's really gone out and proved what he can do. He put together All In. He's won so many championships throughout the year. He's really took his own situation and made it like huge. He became a household name now, without the help of all on his own, without the help of anyone else. I think he's gonna have a lot of more years to come.
Interesting.
Moses?
I'm gonna go with my female superstar of the year, and then I'm gonna go with my male. My female, just because she finally reached the pinnacle, I'm gonna have to go with Asuka. She was impressive. She's always been impressive. finally gave for the which from what I remember, because I haven't watched SmackDown last week tonight, but she was always something that impressed me. And I always was rooting for her when she got called up. I was crazy about her, and I thought she was great. And her work in the Indies even speak for itself. And I think this is her time now to shine in the WWE. And my man of the year is gonna have to be none other greatest man that ever lived. The Becky Lynch.
The man.
So I'm just gonna leave it at, and hopefully Becky will be great. We should tag it like Becky Goat or something.
Becky the Goat. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
All right,
Okay,
David.
so female superstar of the year. Let's see. So I had a few names. Becky Lynch. I want to choose her so badly, but she was like second on my list. Shayna Baszler is another one. She had a tremendous year with their title reign in NXT. But in the end, she hasn't lost a match, so I'm going with Ronda Rousey, honestly.
With Rousey. Nice.
I think, yeah. For male wrestler of the year, this one could have gone many ways. AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Cody, Kazuchika Okada. I had Tetsuya Naito on this list, but there was one guy that just stood above the rest of them, in my opinion. That was Kenny Omega.
Omega.
Yes, his match with Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom was something I thought I'd never see. And his title win at Dominion with Okada was just one of the best matches you'll ever see, in my opinion. But yeah, Kenny Omega is my pick.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna have to agree with you with the male. Kenny Omega was also my pick. Really, the thing with Omega is that just he's so popular. He's like pretty much like the face of New Japan, I think, at this point. He's in, he goes to Ring of Honor sometimes. He competes in, like all these different indie promotions, and he just doesn't really want to go to WWE right now. Like, in my opinion, he's like the new AJ Styles of, the like non-WWE promotions, if you want me to call it that. So Kenny Omega is like my superstar of the year. Plus, the man's like on freaking like Rolling Stone magazine in Japan. So obviously, this man is like, the most popular superstar of the year for me. For superstar of the year for the ladies, I was gonna go with Asuka, but I have to go with Becky Lynch for this one because just how she is on social media, how she could just talk shit to anybody, and just like her ability to just work over the crowd. Like you can hear it when people just go crazy whenever she comes out. she's just like really really popular. So those were my picks. So the viewers' picks, or the listeners' picks, I should say. All right, let me put it like this: Omega, 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 Omega for the men, and then Kota Ibushi. One for Kota Ibushi. That's interesting. And for female of the year, Becky, Cody Rhodes. Wait, what? How do you pick out Cody Rhodes? Oh, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
Put it in the wrong category, and I was supposed to go to men.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe someone was like super drunk and was like, it would be funny if I put Cody as a woman.
Cody's the girl's Dave.
And there was Jordan Grace for female superstar of the year. All right, so moving on to personal favorites. So so we didn't actually have a whole lot of responses for this category, so let's just do this kind of quick.
This was my thing just thrown in like at the end. Like I just thought about it. Like we're giving like superstar of the year, but it's not necessarily reflecting like who we thought was the best of the year or what the best was. So I just wanted to like get our opinions out there as like what we thought like the best. I mean,
I think it's pretty unanimous that the best wrestler is right now is Shane McMahon.
Best in the
But-
world.
That's in the world.
It's got that
Yeah.
trophy, man.
But I mean, for me personally, I mean, Seth Rollins had a huge year. I mean, I thought he was also one of my personal favorites this year as well. He did have some great matches, but Rich Swann, for me, really made a killing when he moved over to Impact Wrestling. He's had some incredible matches since he's went over there. Pentagon and Ray Phoenix also, they've been like really impressive with the stuff that they've been doing in Impact also.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes, obviously one of my personal favorites. Chris Jericho has been killing it in New Japan, so I have to put him. And I think OVE also, they've been really hot with everything they've done. Yeah, that's about it for my personal.
Well,
Moses?
my personal favorite right now is I would say it's a tie for first. Probably be either EC3 or Eli Drake. They're both great on the mic. We always talked about how if WWE signed Eli Drake and they allowed Eli Drake to beat Eli Drake, how great would it be to have a promo between Eli Drake and The Miz, or even a tag team with Eli Drake and The Miz?
Oh man.
Because they're essentially like the same person, and it would just be hysterical. But I'm gonna say one person, or I should say team that I really enjoyed, because these guys were definitely attacked. It's not the young and up and comers of D-Generation X, but it's I would have to say KM and Fallah Bahh. They have been really entertaining this year. And wanted to say that they were the tag team, but like Dom said, LAX really killed it this year. But Fallah Bahh and KM are, they make Impact interesting. They make it funny. You know that whenever they're doing a promo, even with Scarlett Bordeaux or how, that it's going to be really interesting, and I'm going to go with them.
Nice.
Good. Nice.
All right.
Dave?
Personal favorites. Well, since this guy's come over from NXT, he's gotten a stop push. I personally love him as a wrestler. That's Finn Balor. They're not really using him as great as I'd like them to be using him. That whole Baron Corbin feud was ridiculous. I felt like that was like Vince talking down to the smaller guy in Baron's image, which I hated. But you guys touched on a couple more that I loved. Eli Drake, I do not love that guy. And LAX is another one that they have come into their own. Tito and Santana, those guys have just really become a premier tag team. Like, I remember going to see them wrestle live, I think for Progress Wrestling at one point in the city, and they tore the house down. It was great. So those are my personal favorites on my list.
So for personal favorite here, I did something a little bit more unique. I wanted to say about like my favorite, and this is like a really like unique category in a sense here. My favorite upcoming wrestling promotion here, and I actually had to go with Stardom. I think that it's getting a lot of traction these days with Stardom Wrestling, especially because of the whole burst of like women wrestlers, and just like how popular like women's wrestling is becoming again, especially with the Japanese like the Japanese Joshi performers, wrestlers as well. And I know that Stardom, they typically have like a lot of younger Joshi wrestlers that are training to go to bigger promotions in Japan, or go to possibly to wrestle abroad. So like you've seen some big names now in the indies as well as also in WWE that came from Stardom, like Kairi Sane, Io. You also have Tony Storm. They all actually came from Stardom. Also Mia Yim too. So I actually think that Stardom is getting quite a bit of traction. Not just that, but Stardom is actually going to be having a show in New York City on Mania weekend on Friday. So
nice.
It's going to be pretty interesting. So moving on to our final category here, and that is the match of the year.
Yeah, this was a really tough one. There was so many great matches this year. I mean, it was really hard to choose. I mean, you had the North American Championship ladder match, the Takeover. Awesome. You had like Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins. The first U.S. Open Championship match they had on Raw. That was all their matches were also great, but there was that one match that just stood out, which was crazy. Jericho versus Omega was awesome. All of Gargano and Ciampa's matches were great. But I think I have two picks here because one is like it was the situation of the match that made it so great. It was Rey Fenix versus Rich Swann, and it was the opening match on Impact. Like it was like a 30-minute match that opened the show.
Oh, wow.
There was no feud. There was no like storyline behind the match. But these two guys it gave everything they had into this match, and this was just like it was back and forth the whole time, and it was awesome. And just like to see two people that can put so much into a match with nothing built behind it was great. And then my other pick would be the War Games match for NXT.
All right. Well, my match, my match that I'm gonna pick was a really good match. It wasn't like something that was like crazy. I think it was just because it was funny and like a kind of in lighthearted match. And I think I'm not 100% sure if you can see this match, but you can see matches like this on Powerslam.tv and available on iTunes, Android, and Roku. And I think we still have that thing going, right? Where you put in promo T and then you put in the promo code. That's not the finish.
No, it's actually just not the finish.
Oh, it's just not the finish. Well, if you do that promo, you get your first month free. But I would have to say Jay Lethal and Flip Gordon, and that was just because I found it so hysterical how Jay Lethal really, really tuned into his inner Macho Man and brought Lanny Poffo in, and then he would trans into Macho Man, and then he thought Brandy was Elizabeth, and then like at the next hit he would turn it back into Jay Lethal, and it was just a funny match to watch, and I really enjoyed that match.
Alrighty, on to you,
Nice,
Dave.
nice. This one is a tough one. Having to go through the entire calendar year to find the best match of the year. It's a couple honorable mentions. Charlotte, Becky at Evolution. I was there. Pretty insane. The NXT ladder match at TakeOver New Orleans was really good. Callahan and Penta El Zero at Slammiversary. That that hardcore match was, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The stakes and everything was, I had to look
That
away a
was
little bit.
insane.
That was insane, yeah. But for me, the match of the year goes to Okada Omega at Dominion this year, 2018. I mean, these guys fought for over an hour. 2 out of 3 falls, no time limits. Leading up to this match, they each had won a match, lost a match, and had drawn on a time limit dispute on their second encounter at Dominion 2017. So coming into this, they fought for maybe 35 minutes on the first fall. I think it was like 25 the second fall, and then they just capped it off with an amazing third fall. I mean, every move you could think of, Dragon Sleepers and One Wing Angels, and you got the Rainmakers going all off. It was one of the best matches I've ever seen. That just from an art form, from a performance standpoint, it was the best match in my opinion.
So me and Dave think alike quite a bit, I can tell, because I also have to say Omega versus Okada was the match of the year for me. And it's not just that, but I think what made it special for me was because it's what really got me into New Japan and also just Japanese wrestling in general. Because just another thing too, Dave, was like Okada just tombstone pile drove Omega so many times.
Oh
in
god,
that match.
dude.
It was crazy on the
Yeah.
like on the edge of the ring. I think he did outside of the ring, like inside of the
Yes.
ring. Like it was crazy. Like I don't even think I've seen the Undertaker do it that many times. And
Yeah.
and then there was that point where they just collapsed. They just straight
Yeah.
collapsed because
They were
so
exhausted. Yeah.
done. They were just done. So I have to say definitely it was Omega versus Okada. That was match of the year. So let's see what our listeners think. We have Gargano versus Ciampa. That was actually good. Okay, I could see that. Kenny Omega versus Ibushi. That's also pretty good. Now Michi. This is probably from our Noah fan. Now Michi Marufuji versus Kenta. Okada versus Omega, Okada versus Omega, Okada versus Omega, Omega versus Okada. Well, that was different. And okay, so basically it was Omega versus Okada. That was the clear winner here. But we have some, pretty good mentions here. So that was basically all our categories. But what's this? We have some special categories for me. Who was the best host of the That's Not the Finish podcast? So let's see. Plead the Fifth, Moses. All of them, all of you. I voted Dom. And the reason why I did was because of this. Host, the worst host of That's Not the Finish podcast. Plead the Fifth, Dom. None of them. Dan. I actually voted for myself. And none.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
That was my favorite one. All right, it was good. It was good, guys.
Nice.
I just want to say, whoever that person that said I'm the best, thank you for boosting my ego 10 times.
You don't know what you have just done.
You have created an ego monster that's probably bigger than Ariel Hawani's nose. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for tuning in for the year-end special of That's Not the Finish. And be sure to check out powerslam.tv. Use promo code NOTTHEFINISH for your free month. And we will see you next time on another episode of That's Not the Finish.